What is up, guys? I know most of the time we start out and I'm already riding, I'm on the bike, but today we're going to do a review on the new girl on the channel, the 2020 MT09. She now has 5 miles on her, so she's still super new. I haven't took any stickers off, I haven't took anything off yet, just to basically be like, yeah, she's new. We're going to do a review on a brand new one, you know, nothing done to it. So one thing I'll point out, unlike the 07s, this one actually has like really nice rear sets on it. It's kind of more set up like your sports bikes, you know, you got like the nice little grippies in there instead of the rubber that goes on the 07s, you know. It's kind of makes you feel like you're on a smaller bike, like a 250 or a 300. I don't mind this. I mean, I don't like it, don't get me wrong, it's gonna go bye-bye, but it's so much better than the ones that like come way out and go down there. So basically, quick rundown on the bike. When you turn on the key, you know, you get, it's not as fancy as the R1 does, okay? To all my new viewers, oh, we got 6 miles, I lied, we must hit 6 on the way up here. To all my new viewers though, I had a 2016 R1 and I was trying to downgrade, I guess you could say, a little bit. Anyway, so this one, it's a little bit more simpler than the R1 is. You have a button for mode, you have standard, which is what we're in, you have B mode, and then you have A mode, and then you have traction control, you have 1, 2, and then you have off. Turn it off, you just hold up on this, super simple. Now it's off, bada bing, bada boom. And you go back down, now we're in 1, now we're in 2, back in 1. Your mode, push the button, standard, A, B, standard. Cool, right? Okay, so basically all that I can gather from the modes is that it kind of like dumbs down your throttle response. So like standard's kind of like a happy median in the middle. A, super twitchy, kind of like my R1 was, like kind of like boom boom boom, instantaneous. B's kind of like you can roll into it and it doesn't hit you as hard, like it doesn't just like punch you in the chest and say, oh, here I am, master of torque, by God. Yeah, so it's a little bit more forgiving in B mode. So far I love the bike. It's way different than the R1. Obviously the handlebars are up really high, you sit more way up as opposed to in the bike, so it's going to take some getting used to for sure. The height difference isn't that much different from my R1, although like I'm comparing it to sitting inside of the bike. I do know, like, moving it, like I'm a short guy, I'm 5'5", okay, so to the viewers it's also short that want an MT09, you know, here you go. Moving it, like when you're off the bike, when you're backing out of your garage or something, it's a little awkward at first because it's a whole lot more top heavy than like a regular, you know, super bike or whatever, like how I was riding an R1. So it's more top heavy than anything. But like once you get on it and you start driving it, you really don't notice it as much. One major big plus, like a whole bunch of people talk about how they change out the seat. I don't see the need to, honestly. Like, I guess because I'm used to the R1. The R1 had not really a seat at all, if that's what you want to call it. You know, the R1 was just meant to be ridden hard. It wasn't supposed to have any sort of comfort, you know. This seat, loads of padding. Like, oh, it's so comfortable going from the R1 to this. A lot of people talk about, you know, upgrading the suspension. Well, the 2020s, you actually have a little bit of adjustment. Not much, but you do have a little bit. For my weight, I mean, I'm not a big guy, like I said prior. I'm only 5'5". I mean, I could see, like, if you're a bigger dude, you know, or girl, the suspension might be a little bit soft for you. But for my weight, I noticed that it really doesn't bother me. I mean, maybe in the future, if I, like, want to do, like, some hella track days, bro, yeah, upgrade the suspension. But for what I do, nah, it's like, it's super comfy the way it is. It's not super bouncy, it's stiff enough for me, you know. I like it. So what do you say we just take it on the road and I'll talk about it on the road instead of standing here you know, talking about it, even though I know if you clicked on the video you probably would like to know about the bike, but you know, I can talk about it while we're going down the road. All right, so like I said, the handlebars super wide, a lot wider than the, you know, the 07s. They're smaller, kind of more like a bicycle. You can see, like, I mean, I'm pretty short, so like right now I'm just in jeans and Nikes because I'm not, you know, doing anything stupid. But I mean, I'm on my toes, like they're bent a little bit on both feet. I mean, if I want a flat foot, then I can just, you know, hold the brake and then, you know, I'm good. But I'm used to riding bigger bikes because literally everything's a challenge for me being small. starts this way. Instead of pushing in a button, you drag it down. The R1 was a nice little button. Got your signals, your horn, bright lights, you know, like I mentioned earlier, your modes, blah blah blah, traction control. I gotta get used to these mirrors. They're not the prettiest things in the world, but you know, they're functional, whatever. All right, and one thing to note about this bike is it's actually an inline 3, as opposed to my R1 was an inline 4, the MT10 is an inline 4, and the MT07 is a parallel twin, which the twins sound really good. They sound more deep and groany, but the triple has a very unique sound to it, almost like the twin and the 4 had like this really nice baby, you know what I'm saying? It sounds pretty good, even like stock. You guys will hear it in a minute. I'll give it a little bit of gas. Like when it's idling, it's not the loudest, which obviously it's stock. We'll fix that eventually. But as you can see, it feels really good. Sounds really good, right? Like especially to be stock. Something about that inline 3 that it's got like this nice little whine to it. And now keep in mind, I'm still not used to this bike at all. I'm still trying to fathom like going from the R1 to this thing. It's like two totally different things. So everything that I do on this bike, I'm comparing it to the R1. I'm not going to be biased at all. Wow. But, you know, she's still good in the curves. She's still happy in the curves. A lot of people just use these things for, you know, wheelies and stuff, but I wanted something more comfortable that I could still hit some corners with. But of course, I mean, wheelies can be fun too, I guess. But keep in mind that, you know, my whole thing about getting this bike was I was trying to downgrade a little bit and have something a little bit more on the comfortable side, as opposed to the jarring, stiff suspension. This guy in front of me is like, what in tarnation, buddy? You were feeling some type of way, aren't you? Anyway, back to the bike. The R1, you sit way down here, you hunch over the entire time, just like any sports bike, and you know, it's whatever. I've got some messed up back problems now, so I wanted something more comfortable, a little bit more forgiving on my back, you know, yada yada yada, call me a biatch, I don't care. That's why I went with this bike. One thing to note about this bike, I mean, I'm sure it's because I'm so used to the R1, but the front brakes do feel a little bit on the squishy side. I'm sure it's because, you know, it's not set up like the R1 was. See, that triple, that inline 3 sounds really good. I'm not gonna lie, even to not have an exhaust on it. So the brakes are a little bit on the squishier side. You know, it's just me comparing it to the R1 again, but they're doable. It just takes some getting used to. Bumps on this thing are great. I'm so used to the R1, like just bucking you off almost if you hit a bump big enough. This thing is very, very forgiving on the bumps, so that's a plus. But you know, I feel like if I keep riding this thing and get used to it, like I'll be just as comfortable on it as I was the R1. It's just weird going from something that you sit in and then something you sit on top of. Like you feel like you're way up above the road right now. Like I feel like it's hard to explain if you haven't like ridden a super bike or, you know, a sports bike, and then going from something like this is totally different. That being said, I'll get used to it, just like I just said. One thing I didn't point out when we were parked, it does come factory with Bridgestone Battle Axe S20s, which is actually a pretty decent tire. I'm used to the S22s, so I mean the S20s are fine. But you know, it's a pretty good tire, especially for a bike like this, you know. All right, we got 9 miles on it. We're about to hit double digits. Yeah, like coming up on that guy, that front brake made me like a little panicky there for a minute. Like I know it's gonna stop. Like I can always push both the brakes down, but the R1 was just kind of like you mashed down that front brake and it was like boom, you stop. This thing is not so much, not so much. I mean, that little pull right there, that was just me short shifting it and barely really getting on it in standard mode, mind. We're not in A mode, that was standard mode. So, I mean, a lot of my friends are like, bro, why did you downgrade? I don't really, my unbiased opinion right now is I don't really think that I downgraded. For what this is
a whole lot of bike for the moolah. You know what I'm saying? Like when you first accelerate on the R1, it's, you know, you're going fast. You know, you crouch down in it, all that fun stuff, yada yada. And you just see the speedometer moving so fast that it can't keep up, so it just skips a bunch of numbers, right? Well, with that being said, this one feels like a whole lot more brute. Oh, we hit 10 miles, yay, double digits. Sorry to ADD here. You feel like you're actually like really accelerating. You sit more way up on the road. The torque, it's just punches you in the freaking chest, no pun intended. I mean, it's just, it's crazy, right? But I don't even know why I said no pun intended. That doesn't make any sense. Scratch that, just ignore me, make fun of me, whatever. But I mean, obviously you don't have a windscreen, so all the stuff goes to your chest. I mean, you know, I could put a windscreen on it, and that'd be cool, I guess, but that kind of defeats the whole naked purpose to me. Like, I love the fact that this bike is just completely naked. Like, it's nice. I love it. So my final opinions on this bike, do I think I get downgraded from the R1? Not really, not at all. I would totally do that deal over and over again if I had to. I know this bike is going to take some getting used to. Everything about it is different. The sitting position, the way it handles, like, everything is different. It's, you gotta tame another monster, so it's gonna take me some getting used to. That being said, weather permitted, I might take this thing to the Dragon tomorrow or the next couple of days to really get the hang of it really quick. So I would totally recommend this bike to anybody. It's a lot of fun, super torquey. Like, I mean, you feel it. Like, it just literally, it's so brutal, it just punches you in the chest. Absolutely, if you're thinking about getting one of these, get it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this non-biased, really quick review. I'm racing against the storm right now, as usual. So make sure to leave a like, a comment, a subscribe, share my videos with your friends, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.